Therapist Corner. This is our first time doing a live stream and also with a live guest, a living guest next to us. Some of you guys are going to see us in the video. Some of you guys are going to listen to us, hopefully. And for you guys listening, we have a guest, a German guest, which our first female guest, actually. So very happy about that. Elli Hachmann. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So my first question is, what's your relationship to Gene Hackman?
Oh, I'm just watching movies, unfortunately, and he's spelled with a K. So it's pronounced Hackman, but I'm like with a CH, so yeah. Okay. When I go to America, there was like Hachman. I'm like, no, that's not right, but it's cool.
Yeah, but you say in English you say Hackman, but in Germany you would say Hachmann.
Hachmann, that's very harsh.
Hachmann.
Hachmann, yeah.
German language.
Exactly.
So where are you from?
I was born and raised in Hamburg, Germany. My mother's from California. My dad's from Germany. So I've spent a high school year in California, and also I did an internship at UCSD for athletic training for a couple months, but otherwise Germany. Yeah, that's been my base.
Okay. So what's the real pronunciation of Hamburg? Is it Hamburg or Hamburg?
Yeah, so it depends.
Depends on which part of Germany you're from.
Yeah, it depends. Yeah, and what generation you're from. Like my dad would say Hamburg. Yeah. But Hamburg is more, yeah.
Okay, you don't look like a fool. Yeah, so you were a bit on your background, and yeah, so you were in the States, and was it just for 1 year or?
Yeah, so I spent 2 high school years actually in the States. So the first one was in New York, upstate New York. I went to a boarding school. I was 15, turning 16. And then the next year, I kind of got kicked out of that school because back then I was not training very much. I was more like smoking and like getting into trouble. So I got kicked out of that. And then, fortunately, I had a cousin in the United States in California that took over, and then everything changed. So I got into fitness, into health,
Does it have to do this change because it's East Coast and West Coast, completely different mindsets? I would say probably the weather also helps a little bit. California has this vibe of summer.
Yeah, I was the cool kid in New York. Handing out the cigarettes and like bring like can I say this in the pod? Because I brought weed from Germany, and they're like, oh my god, So, but then I was so not the cool kid in California. Like nobody was smoking, and like only like the losers. So
they were like on the pre-paleo diet at that time. I
Probably.
Guess. Yeah.
That was 1999, so actually quite a while ago. But I had my gym class was a weightlifting class, so that's how I got into lifting actually for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So still, I can kind of see that you might be that you were a girl with. Like a strong own will. Could that have been true?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It was my way or the highway.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's sometimes it's still like that if you ask my boyfriend, but.
Yeah. So, and this kind of translates for the listeners and viewers here. We for those who don't know you, what is your sports background?
I've always been an athletic person, so I started with horseback riding and doing tricks on the horse and all that kind of stuff also. And then I continued parallel to that with field hockey and did that for another 10 years. And then when I was a teenager, like 15, 16 years old, I completely quit sports and just like hung out and partied and I don't know what for like 2 years. And then when I went to California, I kind of came back to that athletic lifestyle again. So it was just like a small, short dip into, adventure and checking things out and just having fun. And
A teenager rebellion.
I think it was normal. Like, I always knew that I wasn't going to be like that forever. And I always knew I just wanted to, like, have fun now and, like, see what it's like to party and everything. But I knew that I wouldn't want to, like, keep on doing that for how long. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, do you think this, like, stubbornness also helped you to, actually accomplish, to get to some kind of top level in your sports?
I think so. I think you have to be very focused on something that you want to achieve and very passionate about it, and not let anyone talk you into doing something else. So I needed to experience certain phases. Also, like, wanting to compete in CrossFit, And when I started CrossFit, I thought I'd be able to make it to regionals, like a lot of people probably do. So, but of course I did it, and I won't. But I needed to at least try, like, give it my all. So, and people who were more experienced in CrossFit might have back then already known that I don't have what it takes to make it to regionals. Maybe, you never know. But I would have listened to them. I had to see it for myself, and that's how I've done most things in my life. I've had to experience it myself.
Yeah. Did you have, like, a special role model for athletics and so on, especially, like, as a woman? We tend to see, like, you have sports where you have role models, but most of the role models, the picture posters are with men, right? And this is kind of something we talked about yesterday, is kind of the changing thing with the CrossFit, is that we actually see more girls getting more sponsorships than men, for example. And
But that's also for the last couple of years. So when you have prior to CrossFit or prior to that, who do you look out for?
Yeah.
I don't look up to a specific person, actually. It's more like the characteristics of strong women that I appeal to. So be it friends in my life or athletes that I think are cool, like in the CrossFit time when I was CrossFitting more, was like Camille Leblanc-Bazinet. Because she looks a little bit like me. She has like this almost the same body type and size. So it was, I was looking at her and seeing what she could lift and kind of comparing that to myself. And, but basically just the image of a strong woman is something that I look up to, be it on a mental side, the mental perspective, or the physical,
Is there any, like, sports background in your family that you follow up to? I don't know.
Actually, not at all.
No?
Yeah, my parents started training, so I've been in the industry for 17 years, and I've always tried to get them to train, and they actually started about 10 years ago. So I was training them first, and then I kind of gave them to someone else because I said I can't train my own family. But,
I'm still trying to make my dad go down the stairs instead of the elevator. Sorry, Dad. But yeah, it's kind of a hard way to push them. You don't want to really push them. And how far are you doing the sports? Are you doing your exercises? Better to have that relationship on the side and keep the love in the family.
Exactly. If they ask me questions, I'm happy to answer them, but I won't push anything onto them. So they'll ask me about nutrition and what's healthy and what to eat before and after training or whatever, So that's cool.
Yeah, I saw something about that with nutrition. You also provide some nutrition guidance programs, right?
Yeah, so I'm not a nutritionist. I didn't study that. I learned also just by living the healthy life and athlete life. So I help mainly women actually on their diets. Usually their goal is to lose weight and look good, or perform, or both. Yeah. And that's basically also my way of learning how to eat right. So
yeah, do you? I kind of have the experience, but for those who don't know, what kind of difference do you see in the nutrition for like between men and women, because there are some kind of what I've experienced, some differences when you see like you can eat the same thing as man and woman and you have a bit different effects, right?
Well, I mean, well, gender-wise, of course, there are differences, also hormonal-wise. But like generally, women need a little bit more protein than men.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, they have less. They need less calories.
Yeah.
Also, and usually, I don't know if there's any scientific evidence for this, but usually it seems that women need to eat more often than men. Like. Men can like go longer without eating for a couple hours, 5-6 hours, and women tend to be more hungry in between. There's no really right
I'm like a woman.
Maybe that's just my personal experience.
My female gene, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and that's exactly that's totally personal, and there's no right and no wrong. Like if you can go, like it all comes down to having like a calorie balance that works for your goal.
Yeah.
And if you can work with that with 3 meals, that's fine. If you're always hungry and it's going to lead to not being consistent and adherence, then I'll prescribe 5 meals per day, 5 smaller ones.
Yeah. So just to make this clear, as a woman, as a man, is it okay to eat fat?
Yeah, and it's also okay to eat like sugary food too, every once in a while. So like if most of your food comes from healthy sources, then yes, you could eat at 20% of whatever you want, like kind of if it fits your macros, I guess. As long as you have enough fiber in your nutrition and enough micronutrients, and you're kind of like balancing out the macronutrients, so you're getting the minimum amount of macronutrients that you need. So protein, fat, carbs, and usually it depends on your goals. So if you want better body composition, usually you can like go a little bit lower on the carbs. But if you're going for performance, you're going to need more carbs. And protein should always be a good base. So fat's more like the filler. We don't need so much fat for body composition, and definitely not for performance. So that's more like on the low end usually. Yeah.
Do you follow personally like a diet type? Do you follow any trend, or do you follow any, I don't know, zone diet, paleo, fasting, which is so trendy at the moment? Or do you just pick what works for you, even if it's a little bit from here, a little bit from there, little pieces from everywhere?
Yeah, different things work for different people. So any diet will work if you are consistent, basically, and it depends on your goal, of course. But generally speaking, for general health, it's first of all, it's about having the right calories for your body weight. So body weight correlates with health. So if you're too heavy, the probability that you're not healthy is going to be higher depending on how heavy you are. So, and that all comes down to calories. So, and then the second part would be quality of food. So are you eating processed food, or are you eating foods that are fresh, that are, have a lot of micronutrients, etc.? That makes a difference. And then of course, what is your macronutrient ratio? And then maybe you can talk about timing or supplements. That's like the low end of, that's not the most important thing for health. But yeah, so I think when I start coaching people and they don't have a background they don't have a lot of experience with nutrition, usually it's just, first of all, eat foods that are mostly healthy, single ingredient foods, for example.
Yeah. We also see is all these people that's okay. I want to gain weight or want to get muscles and everything, and they just start with the first step. They start with is supplements. So it's not knowing, they're not getting like quality. They don't know how much macros they have. They don't know how many calories they have. So there's no background knowledge of what they're eating. And they just say, okay, probably this is why the message comes from the industry. It's like, okay, supplements will take you there. Doesn't matter what you have plus this. If you add this to your diet, it's going to be okay with it.
Yeah.
And it seems like the more people we talk to that knows about it, the first step is knowing your diet, healthy diet, follow your macros, fill up your calorie intakes, and then we see supplement. It's supplements, not the base of it. It's just a supplement of what you're having.
That's why it's called a supplement, exactly.
Yeah. We see like people coming like, I can't lose weight, or I can't I can't gain weight, and I'm feeling so depressed about that, and so on. And then you start to ask them, like, okay, but first, do you sleep? So yeah, no, it's a bit, you know, it's hard. So okay, do you drink alcohol? So yeah, of course. Like yeah, how often? Yeah, like every weekend you go out. Okay, good. And then
how many times you're in Berlin? Every week, every day?
Yeah, exactly. And then, and how much do you eat? Yeah, no, I try to keep I try to eat enough. And you say, well, okay, so what's that? And so yeah, it's somewhere there. So it's, okay, so you're somewhere there and you never reach it, or you. What do you eat when you try to reach those? So like, yeah, I eat pasta or I eat something like. Okay, but.
Yeah.
And how often do you train? So yeah, I train 3 times in the gym, and sometimes I go running.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, so first of all, you have to sleep. Can you fix that? Oh no, that's.
Yeah,
I don't know how to do that. And then it's okay, so you can't sleep. Can you fix your diet? Can you eat properly? Can you follow your diet? Have a plan. Can you eat something healthy instead of like processed food or something like that?
No, I don't have time.
And it's like, I don't have time for that. Okay, but then can you then train 6 times a week? No, I don't have time for that. Okay, but then let's see.
At the end it goes, I think, your decisions that people want to do. I mean,
Yeah.
if you really want to achieve your goals, you really have to focus and you really have to start by doing.
You have to know what
easy,
you're doing.
So many. This sounds like very much as a cliche, but it's completely true. If it was so easy, everyone would do it.
Yeah, and especially you have to know like what you're doing, like monitor your sleep or monitor what you're eating. Like I'm a big fan of tracking food, even though the apps where you can track food and are not perfect, but it'll give you a view of like basically how much calories you're taking in, how much protein you're taking in, etc. And just seeing that black and white can really help to improve, right? Just to like, yeah. And then also training. You have to facilitate muscle growth. So you're gonna have to go into the gym and lift weights. You can't just like sit on the bike or go running and expect muscles to just appear. And I think there's a lot of people who aren't educated enough to really know. And then it's also hard. It's hard to lose weight, but it's also for some people just as hard to gain weight. So I definitely see the difficulty in that. And usually they have to eat more than they want to, more than feels good. But if that's the same thing otherwise when you're trying to lose weight, right? It doesn't always feel good.
Yeah, for the people, this is also, I think, something we've discussed before. I think we see it takes time to do it. So we don't quite see changes as fast as we would like to.
It's not
instant. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's not that you start training and you start eating good, and then a month later you have a 6-pack.
No, yeah, it takes
so you have
takes
to be
a while.
Very consistent and very focused on your goal.
Yes. So when people ask me to lose 20 kilos, I give them a time frame of 3 months where we can lose like maybe 10% of their body weight, and then I'll take them into a maintenance phase where they have to like just hold their weight, keep their weight, so their body can kind of like relax, and also psychologically they're not always on the diet, and that will give them a lot more adherence and consistency and results at the end. So it'll take longer, but it'll get them there for sure, and it'll be a lot more sustainable than just doing a crash diet and then going back into your old habits, which we see all the time.
Yeah. Effect afterwards
is So being patient, good things take time. That's just how it is.
Yeah, and I like the analogy that, like, our bodies are also like an engine. So if you put bad stuff into the engine, it's going to get clogged, it's going to get rusty, it's going to get, inefficient. So just by switching fuel, you're not just going to have engine working from day one as if it was new. So it takes time for the engine to clean itself, to get efficient with what you're putting inside it, and for a body, I've always said like, so what's your goal? I say, I'm working for Beach 2018. And they're like, no, but it's 17 now. No.
Yeah.
I'm working for 18, not 17. But,
Yeah.
We're looking for this like instant gratification, getting some likes on the social media, the six pack in 2 weeks. And,
yeah, but like things aren't like always possible. Like I have so many guys are like, yeah, I want to pack on muscle and just lose a little bit of fat. So I want to like lose weight, but I want to gain muscle, or women even, you know. Yeah. I'm just like, okay, so have you trained before? Yeah. For 6 years, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so you're probably not going to gain that much more muscle and lose weight at the same time. We're going to have to bulk for a while, and you're not going to feel good in your body. But then we can maintain, so your body kind of gets accustomed to the new muscle mass, and then we can cut, you know. But that's going to take like 9 months, like to get you there where you want to be. So, yeah.
So now we're talking diet. Do you have anything that is completely off diet? You would really say, okay, I shouldn't be eating this, but definitely I cannot live without this. What's the one thing that Elli Hachmann eats and says, probably people shouldn't know eat this?
They know everything I posted because I'm really proud of it. But so, yeah, it's usually I have a big problem with Ben and Jerry's being in my house. So like I'll go like in the morning, I'll have breakfast, I'll have like a spoon of Ben and Jerry's, and I won't track that.
We're not sponsored by Ben and Jerry's.
It doesn't count. It's like it's just so minimal. Like that's a huge psychological problem if I know it's there. And the funny thing is, I was on competition a couple of weeks ago, and I was on a really strict, not really strict, but like on a little cutting diet, and my boyfriend came home with 2 Ben and Jerry's. He's like, hey, let's have, and I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me? I was pissed for like 3 hours. I was really like seriously mad, but yeah.
The angry eating. Yeah. So
it's not for you. This is for Ben and Jerry's.
Going back to like discipline and this kind of having a hard will, where did you realize that you wanted to do something like own business-wise? Because you started like the first CrossFit affiliate in Hamburg, and one of the first ones in Germany.
Yeah.
And, so what made you think that this is a good idea, being pregnant?
Yeah, exactly. I don't think that was so well thought out, but I managed out, and I think that my basic reasoning for opening my own gym, well, I've been working in global gyms. I had worked there for like 10 years or so, and then I got to know the CrossFit training system and tried to implement that, but that was 2009, 2010. So I was in San Diego 2009, and that's where I went to a gym called I think it was this Navy guy. I think it was called US CrossFit. I forget. Maybe I'll remember. But anyway, so I went to like a basic CrossFit class there, and I thought it was really fit because I was like doing a lot of stuff. So, but then I realized I didn't even know like what gymnastics was, or like the difference between powerlifting and Olympic lifting. Like I didn't even know these concepts, right? So then I came back to Germany and I wanted to do all that stuff, and I couldn't do it at the gym. Like they would like be like, okay, we're gonna kick you out if you do another wall ball shot or try another handstand push up, right? Because I was like making all the walls dirty. Yeah. So
you can't walk around with equipment here.
Yeah.
Hey, don't lift equipment above your waist.
Sweating, stop it.
Yeah, or they would like be like, yeah, you have to put down the bar every single time when you deadlift because otherwise it's really bad for your back. I'm like, what the? Well, anyway. So I think it was a selfish reason, actually, to be able to train the way I want to. And I had quite a good community going on with my PT clients, who I also trained in a CrossFit style fashion. So we started off our gym with, I think, about 30 or 40 members right off the bat. So we almost were able to pay rent.
That's a good start.
Yeah. So.
What was the affiliate's name?
CrossFit HH.
HH.
Yeah.
So, and it's still there, but you are currently not in the HH anymore.
No. I was there for 3 years. I had it together with a partner, and I sold my shares. It was just not manageable for me being a mom and having a gym. So you guys have a gym, you know what it's like. You basically have to live there and have a good support system. I'm a single mom, where back then I was single, so it was very hard for me to do both, and I had to kind of decide. And right now I'm freelancing, and the job that I'm doing at Noco is something that I can do a lot also from anywhere, really, from home or wherever I travel. So it's a lot. It suits my lifestyle a lot more.
Yeah. So how, talking about lifestyle, how do you get your training in your life? How do you manage that?
I set realistic goals. That's the first thing. So also time-wise, how much time can I invest and what can I get out of it? Because that's ultimately what's going to make me happy. So I could be a CrossFitter and train 6 days a week, twice a day. If I had the time, I would probably do that because I love CrossFit. But I don't have that time. And it's definitely not about making excuses. So I really only have like 3 to 4 days where I can train 90 minutes. And I'm naturally strong, so I'm not going to become a triathlete or a runner, of course. So I decided to focus more on the Olympic lifts. And so right now, I'm basically training Olympic weightlifting 4 times a week.
Yeah. What's your goal there? Do you have a goal?
My goal was to be at a good level in Germany.
Yeah.
So I have a competitive personality. It would be really hard for me to train and not have like a competition coming up or something like that. So currently, I'm a master's now as of this year, and I won the German championships this year. So I'm a German champion in the age group 35 to 40. And I also set a record for the clean and jerk, which was my first record was 82 kilos, and then I broke that record 86 kilos, which is not my best lift, but it was good enough for a record. So
What's your numbers at clean and jerk and snatch?
It's actually 70 and 90, and my competition PR was 66 and 90. Yeah, and at the German championship it was 65 and 86, so just a little bit below.
Between these, which one is your favorite lift? You prefer
Clean and jerk.
Clean and jerk.
Snatch is always depends on how I feel, how well coordinated I move, and like the clean and jerk is just like okay, power, muscle it out.
So let's go into the gender questions again. So for a woman that wants to start with lifting, we hear things like, "Hey, you're gonna get bulky. It's not beautiful. It's not blah blah blah." But what do you say to those women?
So in order to get bulky, you're going to have to get in a lot of training volume and eat a lot of food, which usually doesn't happen with most women. And then if you look at the best CrossFit women, those women were strong before, usually. They didn't just get strong with CrossFit. CrossFit took that and kind of took it for itself. But it's more that those women were very athletic before. Either they were into gymnastics or Olympic weightlifting or whatever. But so the general population of women, they are already very predisposed to like the way people view beauty and how women should eat and everything. So as a trainer, it's very hard to convince them of something else. Yeah. Even though I would say that I'm not bulky, but I'm still more muscular than they would like to be probably. And I always tell them, look, I'm an Olympic weightlifter. I lift a lot of weights during the week. You're probably not going to do that volume, so you're probably not going to look like that. And then the way I convince them, though, actually, is through the experience of training with me. Yeah. So I'll give them a little bit of lifts, I'll give them a little bit of CrossFit, and even women who say, I don't want muscles, I only want to do high repetitions, I'll slip in like a little heavy weightlifting. And then they'll experience how they feel and how they look, and usually it's like, I want more of that. Like, my legs look a lot nicer, leaner, or I got more butt or whatever. And from there, I can,
Do you see a change also when they start doing it, because the last couple of years, I think we've changed a little bit of the fashion industry. It's like fit is the new...
strong is the new sexy.
Yeah. Exactly. So have you seen this in training?
Absolutely.
The way the kind of the mindset people bring it to the.
Yes. So there's more women asking me, how can I build muscle? So not only women saying, I want to look lean and not gain muscle. That used to be the case. Mm-hmm. More and more women, especially because my body portrays that, they'll come to me and say, I want to look like you. I want muscles. So
I think you had a really good post about that a couple of months ago where you compared yourself as the cardio coach. Mm-hmm. And this was me doing cardio.
Yes.
And this is me doing weightlifting. And where you see okay, if you want to get lean, then you have to clean. No, but it's really, you have to start to pull some weights, right?
Yeah.
And it's probably most efficient way if you want to get some definition or whatever. But yeah, for a girl or a guy that wants to start with weightlifting, do you think, is it easier to just start with weightlifting, or is CrossFit a good way to start with it, or how do you see that?
That also depends on your goal. Do you want to be the strongest person in the gym? Then do weightlifting. If you want to be an all-rounder and just get a little bit more strength and definition, and it depends on how many times you can train per week, of course, also. And at the end of the day, it has to be fun too. So a lot of people like also the community aspect of CrossFit, and whatever gets them into the gym will help them reach their goals. So it totally depends. But at the end of the day, everything stands and falls also with the right coach and with the right mindset and setting the right goals. So if you're not willing to do what it takes, then anything that you start doing probably it won't get you anywhere. So you have to kind of know what work you're willing to put into that also. But you can get strong. Like if you've never trained before, obviously anything's going to get you stronger. And if you've done CrossFit for a while and your goal is to get stronger, then probably you should focus more on the lifts.
Yeah. And now, when you're on the side of the weightlifting side of things, have you also, you've probably also seen now that, the CrossFit made kind of the Olympic lifts kind of sexy again, or so, and that is starting to drive more people to the weightlifting scene also.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's happened in any country everywhere. Yeah. Predominantly in the States, you can see that movement, but for sure also now in Germany, the weightlifters are gaining a lot more members at their weightlifting clubs because people want to know how to either get better technique, so they want a real weightlifting coach, or they just they switch to weightlifting or whatever.
Yeah. So
because once also when you start, I do also agree with this that CrossFit has bring the weightlifting to the masses in a way. And then you realize when you start looking at it and you see it's not about raw strength, it's about so many things, coordination, mobility. It's so hard to do one of these lifts in a proper way with a good technique and everything. So
yeah,
it's not about, I think we talk about this, and so I was watching the Olympics weightlifting with my wife, and she was like, oh, so fast under the bar. What are you talking about? You've been reading? No, I've been reading about it. And yeah, it's a good technique and everything.
Yeah.
So kind of to the masses, to everyone. Before it used to be such a niche, and now it's.
I love the idea that it's also about achievement and self-actualization. So a woman getting strong. Not only does her posture get better, but it also manipulates her mental status. So she'll be mentally a lot stronger too. And from going from how does a woman look to wow, she performed so well. I think that's great, and I think that will do our future generation, the girls, great. That in a sense that maybe they will be less prone to have an eating disorder or not taking care of their bodies or not feeling well in their bodies and stuff like that. It's okay to be strong, and I think that's important because men are allowed to be strong. Why shouldn't women?
Yeah. So this kind of hurdle of getting, I think, to get people moving is, I think, the biggest problem. Or as you say, we kind of have our internal language within the community of CrossFit and sports is that yeah, you just have to start, you have to get moving, and then suddenly you don't care so much more about like the definition and so on. It's more like it's the by part of working out, but you kind of get into, hey, I'm mentally feeling stronger. I saw something you also talked about. You actually get fitter at work. You get just stronger in your mental capacity.
Yeah.
And but for us, it's always about, okay, so we want to have as many people as possible in the gym, because then we can affect their lives, and we know it's going to set them on the right path. They might not be here for their entire life, but it's going to start ball rolling, right? And by this, we always have to sort of still use the same language as the rest of the fitness industry, like get fit, get lean, get blah, because saying like get happy doesn't really.
Yeah, you can read Paulo Coelho.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like people are like, I drink alcohol, I get happy. No, but because everyone is so used to quick fixes instead.
Yeah.
But I don't know. How do we solve this? How do we solve this problem being on the line of, we have to use kind of the same language as.
But also it happens that we promote movement at the end. I think that's also a very important part of it. I mean, I'm very happy if someone joins our gym, our box here, or if someone starts training and weightlifting. I think the first step is just to get people moving. If it's yoga, Pilates, a nap, but just get them off the couch and just start moving.
Yeah.
I think we have this problem of people just going from bed to the office, that's a desk, sit on the desk for 8-10 hours, then going home, just laying on the couch, and then to bed. And you say, no, but I bike to the office. Hey, you're commuting, you're not doing exercise. Just get them moving.
Yeah, exactly. And just, I think it has to come from them. Like, they have to make the decision. So people I like to educate people on health and fitness, but at the end of the day, they'll forget what I say, but they will never forget how I made them feel. Like, there's this quote out, right? People will forget what you tell them, or they will never forget how you made them feel, or something like that. And it totally works in any aspect of life, but especially for fitness. You can convince people and you can get them to be more consistent and make better health and fitness choices just by letting it resonate with them and giving them like small steps, small goals. So for example, just eat healthy foods for the week. Only single ingredient or whatever for the start, or manageable, something that otherwise they're gonna throw everything off after 4 weeks because I can't do it, and a healthy lifestyle just not sustainable for me. I'm just not good enough or whatever. And also hold them accountable. So if somebody comes to me and wants to have like nutrition advice, then I'll have them track what they eat for a week, and they'll have to send me pictures actually also over WhatsApp so I can really see what they're eating and see what they're tracking. And some people can't even do that. If you can't even do that, then you're probably not going to be able to maintain a healthy diet over a period of time. It has something to do with self-care. So teaching people how to practice self-care, I think, is the primary goal for a trainer to teach health and wellness.
So how do you see this happening in Germany? Because I have there's one trend with more healthness or whatever, but at the same time I see when I moved to Germany, just the culture of eating is profoundly more bad than in Scandinavia, for example.
Yeah.
So and if you go to the islands, to UK, I don't know Ireland, Adam, really, but where just a good food is fish and chips. That's a good dinner, but in Germany we have something called Abendbrot.
Yeah.
For example, that's dinner, where you eat a sandwich for dinner, which is for me like that's not food.
Yeah.
So just for those who don't know how Scandinavian food looks like, we have a very heavy diet. It's not very good if you're sitting at a desk, but it's good if you're out on the field working a lot. So it's a big breakfast, it's a big lunch, and it's a big dinner. It's always warm.
Last two always in IKEA.
Yeah, no, but it's homemade usually. Okay, you have processed foods, of course. In Sweden, you have frozen pizzas and stuff, but it's particularly main thing is that we eat warm lunch and warm dinner, even though it's processed. But it's more like you have to cook. You don't just make it easy and try to slice a bread and then pop. That's your dinner.
Yeah.
Which in my eyes it looked like this is just laziness. But yeah, it's also a cultural thing. You get used to it, but I can't see like how the culture is kind of standing a bit in the way for progression to getting stronger or whatever. So we kind of have to work against the food industry also.
Yeah, but there's also healthy choices. So basically, it really depends. Like, I think it's okay to have cultural preferences and differences. And at the end of the day, it matters how many calories are coming in and then we're getting burned again. So you have quite a bit of play in there, actually. It doesn't really matter as long as it's not processed, highly processed. It really doesn't matter that much where your carbs, fat, or protein comes from, right? So you can incorporate that. I wouldn't take too much away from someone who's used to eating in a specific way. That said, you can educate them on eating maybe a little bit more of certain things that they're missing out. So mainly for most people, it's protein. We don't tend to want to eat enough protein and vegetables. So getting them to eat more of that. In my experience, it's been really easy to do that with people who have been who've been eating paleo because they're already used to eating a lot of protein and vegetables. But if they're not at all, you're going to have to take small steps. So just by them taking the picture of their food, actually, usually they notice it themselves. Like, I'm always eating the same thing, or whatever. So
what did you say?
getting them more aware is
I eat pretty healthy food, and my breakfast is just a couple of eggs. No, not even eggs. It's like muesli with yogurt and a banana. Yeah, what's your protein? Right?
Yeah.
You're not balanced diet.
So exactly.
Carbs, some fat, but
that's usually the profile that I see, that they have high fat, high carb, and way too little protein. And then it's no wonder that they're not going to get the perfect body composition that they're looking for, or even the performance that they're looking for.
Yeah, or I see more like low fat, low protein, high carb.
Or that,
So you have like the yogurts, you go to yogurt land and you see, what's this? It's Greek yogurt and it's only 1% fat or 1.5% fat. I'm like, Greek yogurt with 10% fat tastes really good, right? You can't eat too much, you get too much calories, but it tastes good, right? So you can mix it with some milk or something. But then you look at the package and it's like 10% sugar added to that, because you take away the fat, so you put some sugar, and this is something happening for a lot of people. They eat these kind of low-fat products where they added sugar to make the taste still be there. But it's just something that people just have, like the knowledge. I see in Germany in particular, we have it's the most pizza-eating country in Europe. I don't know if in the world, but frozen pizza. So
I've heard that before.
So we eat. It's like ridiculous how much pizza, like frozen pizzas, we eat. Like salami pizza is the biggest one.
Yeah.
So
makes sense because of the prices also.
Yeah.
It's so cheap to eat processed food compared to eating.
And then speaking of the low fat dairy products, like it's just like people looking for like a magic trick, how to lose weight or whatever, like shortcut, and really it's about there's no trick. It's just being consistent with your food intake. So eating mainly healthy foods, keeping a calorie balance, eating on a regular basis, always having enough protein. And it's like learning a language. You're going to have to look at the stuff that you're eating and find out what's in it. You have to educate yourself. That's what's going to give you control.
Talking about education, my wife is pregnant right now, and she is also educated. No, but she is doing CrossFit, and there's this kind of thing going on, or a lot of doctors tell women not to do anything when they're pregnant. Don't lift anything. Don't do anything. What's your experience there?
So. If you've never done CrossFit before, it's probably not a good idea to start CrossFit when you're getting pregnant or when you're pregnant. That said, if you've been experienced and exposed to CrossFit workouts, then of course, as long as you're not training for a competition necessarily, I think that would not make sense to try to better your friend time. I mean, also you're gaining weight, so it's going to get harder.
We have a visitor.
A visitor. And I would also, the further along you get into the pregnancy, maybe be a little bit careful with the kip or too much explosive movements.
Yeah.
But it totally depends on the person and their experience. Especially if you're a trainer yourself, you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I would have, less concerns. And then with the general population that goes to CrossFit, I would always advise have a coach on the side and who's checking on you every once in a while.
Yeah.
That you're not overdoing it. It totally depends on the personality though too.
But it also goes to sports-wise. I mean, for every sport, if you've been doing the sport, if you've been running, for example, and you get pregnant, I guess you can. If you start running when you're pregnant, it's not the best stage of your life to just start doing
exactly.
it. I have this friend of mine she's a professional triathlon runner, competitor, and she was running a couple of Ks a day until 8 months pregnant.
Yeah, we had a member at CrossFit am Rhein in Düsseldorf at our gym. She trained 3 or 4 times a week, and also a day before she had her baby, and it was fine. We had to scale stuff, but not only because the fact that she was pregnant, but also just space-wise, she couldn't do deadlifts after a while. Her belly was in the way, right? So but it's so good to get the blood flow going, also for the baby, of course, and also just for the mother to feel good and to maintain muscle mass. It's really important also for her joints. So if you do it in the right manner, of course. Yeah.
Something that I see or we see is that you have a lot of women in the Western hemisphere that they have a big problem with wetting themselves after giving birth and everything. It's normal, but it's also something that some people have them for life. And this is also correlated with the lack of moving and the lack of actually doing things like CrossFit, where you actually have to have a lot of pelvic control.
Yes.
And where you're latently always working on that, and it will just regenerate faster.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, doing a heavy back squat, I don't know any better movement for pelvic control. I mean, for getting stronger in the pelvic, seriously.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything after I gave birth except for the lifts. And obviously I didn't go into the gym and do a 1-rep max after I came back home from the hospital. But, slowly but surely I got my strength back up, and it's benefited me in any way I can think of. So, for sure.
Yeah, no, I think that's very important for people to know, and also to get educated in that it actually gives you life quality, not just now, but in the prolonged term. So when you're also 50 or 60, you don't have to go and think about wetting yourself.
Yeah. Or when you're older than that, not being able to get out of bed and having people help you because you're too,
exactly. It's about quality of life at the end.
It's anti-aging, also a big thing.
Of course. I was talking yesterday with a cardiologist friend of mine. He was saying the healthier you are, the more buffer you have against any kind of thing that comes into your way.
Yeah.
We were just specifically talking about, for example, if I have to make surgery in a guy, 30-year-old guy, healthy guy, and a 60-year-old healthy guy, the 60-year-old has way less buffer against anything that might happen during intervention or might happen during recovery time. So it's way more important for him to be fit. So increase this buffer, this healthy buffer he has. So it's not about only looking good. It's about life quality. It's about health. It's about enjoying your grandkids when you're 60, 70, or 80 years old.
Yeah, like having a good amount of muscle mass compared to fat. I mean, having more muscle than fat benefits, a multiple number of health markers, from cardiovascular disease or pre-diabetic or whatever. And that's just like the health part of it. But then also like the physical part of it, like you have more capacity. Your joints are usually healthier, like you just have more energy, all that kind of stuff. And then from the mental standpoint, it has so many benefits to train in a way that facilitates muscle growth and fat loss.
Yeah. So to round this podcast off, I would like to ask you for what's your top 5 or 5 things to improve your lifts? So what should you do? 5 points. Okay, obviously you have to lift.
So first thing I would say is get a good coach. Have someone, no matter how long you've been training, you always need a coach.
What's your coach name?
I don't have one coach. I have a couple mentors. So one of them, luckily, is Oliver Caruso, the former national weightlifting coach. He's a friend of ours. So I'm going to training camp in May to see him. And he's been giving me very valuable tips. But I also have Georg Hein, who's one of my trainers, president of the weightlifting, Verein, yeah. And then we have another weightlifting coach. His name is Kurt. He's at CrossFit Hamburg. So I have like 3. And then I have another coach that writes a program for me for squats, deadlifts, and presses. His name is Jordan Feigenbaum, and he's from the States. He's a doctor and a power lifter. So I get my input from multiple sources.
Feigenbaum is a very German name.
Yeah, he's Jewish.
Jewish, okay.
Yeah. And he actually also does my nutrition. So I also have a nutrition coach. So like I know what I'm supposed to eat, actually, I think. But no, I actually don't. I need someone to like be like, Elli, this is not the time for Ben and Jerry's. Yeah. You need to stick to your macros or whatever. So he's been a great help. Really good.
It's easier to follow a plan than to just figure out yourself.
I need someone to give me a plan.
Now, what's better for me? Should I eat broccoli or Ben and Jerry's?
Yeah, exactly. It's like if it comes from like an authority, like someone who told, and you're paying them. I don't know. Like maybe it's just me. I tend to, be more consistent then. So that's the first thing. Get a coach. Then leave your ego at the door. So don't take too much weight.
Yeah.
So focus more on technique and always basically never stop practicing, never stop learning. So always treat your training also as a practice. It's not about always kicking ass and PRing. It's 99% of weightlifting and getting better at it is practicing and always having like that beginner mindset.
That's a good tip. We see that a lot.
Yeah.
Especially the younger you are, the more you want to always be on the edge.
Yeah.
And
so you don't get better by competing; you get better by training and practicing.
Yes, exactly.
Very good. Ben Bergeron, I think, has a post with this. Very interesting. We were looking at Facebook.
Okay. Yeah. So that's that. Then I've benefited a lot from filming myself. So as you know, I post a lot about my training, but actually only like 5% of what I film goes online. So most of it is just for me, because I tend to get a better mind-body connection by actually seeing what I'm doing. Not only from the coach telling me what I'm doing, but me visually seeing what's happening, and also then seeing the difference and kind of connecting that to how that felt.
Yeah.
So I'll look at the videos in slow motion, and it's really hurtful sometimes to see what I'm doing.
Yeah. So you get instant feedback for what you're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like a lot of people wonder why do these, especially like within CrossFit, like why do these CrossFitters always post their stupid things and film themselves? They're narcissistic. But no, we don't have any mirrors. That's the problem. We don't.
That's the problem.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing.
The worst part of it is when you see, when you think of yourself, that was a great lift.
Yeah.
It felt good. And you see the video, it's like, oh shit, my form sucks. My elbows are bent, and my knees are, I don't know, whatever. Yeah. It's kind of a good down-to-earth part.
Exactly. So that was 3, right?
Filming number 3, yeah.
Getting better at the lifts. I would say doing a bunch of strict work, like not just doing the lifts, but like accessory work, like squats, but also strict gymnastics. I've benefited a lot from, for example, like grip work, chin-ups, like sled pulls, rope pulls, because like always, like you're gonna get into, if you're always training the same way, you're gonna get imbalances after a while. So kind of like counter, training those imbalances.
Yeah, people should look at your. I saw some like legless rope climb posture, like beautiful posture in that. So
yeah,
it's also something like a lot of weightlifters don't do.
Yeah,
it's that you're just standing on that podium all the time, like I'm gonna lift, but hey, where's your legless rope climb, dude?
Yeah, so kind of balancing that out.
Yeah.
And I think that plays into number 5 that I would probably put out there is like mobility and making sure that you have good mobility and motor recruitment in those positions. So not necessarily stretching all the time, but just making sure that you're recovering right, that you're warming up right, that you keep your joints mobile, and also to prevent injury at the end of the day. Yeah.
Yeah, so I had an idea, so we're going to do after the podcast for the video audience, that we do maybe like some short mobility tips, so we can share.
Sure.
But by that, if you don't have anything particular, I think we have to.
No, I just want to thank you, Elli, very much for your time, for being here at the Escapist podcast. Escapist Corner. Yeah,
this is actually my first podcast, so thank you for having me.
It's perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Cool.
Where can people find you?
So basically on Facebook and Instagram under my name, Elli Hachmann. Yeah, I don't have a website, so yep.
Yeah, Adam is working on it.
Okay, we'll do that.
It's already, you don't see it.
Go to ellihachmann.com.
Already passing his card, business card.
Okay. Thank you very much, and happy listening for you. Until next time.
Until next time.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.